If you have a cell phone, if you would so kindly put it on vibrate or silent. Roll call, Mrs. Spears.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Baker.
Here.
Mr. Cox. Here. Mr. Dominic. Present. Mr. Epperson. Here. Mr. Escaday. Here. Mr. Jenkins. Present. Mr. Lynn. Present. Ms. Lynch.
Here.
Ms. McCulloch.
Here.
Mr. Pearson. Present. Mr. Smith. Here. Mr. Thibodeau. Here. Full house, Madam President.
Y'all will please stand. We're going to have our invocation from Mr. Eddie Howard. Is this the one? Our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Dominic.
Maybe y'all bow here. Our Heavenly Father, we come before your presence today, Lord, with thanksgiving, thanking you for all that you have done in our life. Lord, we ask right now that you be with this Caddo Parish Commission, Lord. Be with the board, Lord. Help them to make the wise and good decision for your people. In Christ Jesus' name, we ask these things. Amen.
Amen.
Place the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. He is the Assistant Police Chief in Vivian, Louisiana. And he wanted to come to tell us what a great job we're doing and that his commissioner is doing in District 1. Are there any agenda additions? Okay, none. Next, Mr. Spears.
I don't know what I'm looking at. You don't have your minutes of the meeting. We didn't finish them in time for me to get them set up for you.
Okay.
So no special resolutions. And communication reports, nothing here on the agenda, and administration response.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and Madam President. We had the opportunity to meet yesterday with Ms. Brenda Clark from the CDC, talking about the stimulus package. There's a provision for summer jobs, so there will be about 100 jobs for the kids in the parish of Caddo that will be available. The city received the allocation of about 1,000 for kids that live in the city, and the parish of Caddo has about 100. So Erica will be giving you a copy of the applications today in a brochure that will be passed out to your districts. The only provision in this particular job application is they must have residents within the rural area of the parish. But they can work anywhere within the parish, even in this building and other places throughout the parish, courthouse, and any of those places. So more to come on that. The age is 16 to 24 for 6 weeks at $7.25 an hour. And we hopefully would get 100 kids interested in getting a job this summer and put them to work. So, Erica, you want to do anything else on that? Madam President, that's the only thing we have for administration at this time.
We're getting shorter and shorter.
Keep it that way.
Okay.
Woody, hang on one second. Woody, hang on.
Commissioner Dominic.
Mr. Wilson, it's my understanding that private industries or private individuals will be able to use these individuals to work.
That's correct, sir.
So, for example, if you had a law office or something like that, or anybody can, if someone properly applies, and I guess the business can apply and be able to get these individuals to work for them, and they pretty much almost do anything, and the business doesn't have to pay that the stimulus is going to be paying for that.
Right, that's correct. The only exception they said yesterday was that kids can't cut grass. So
yes.
But anything else in private business as well, they can be utilized. That's correct.
And Commissioner Dominic, if you all can get us a listing of any business that may want to hire one of the summer workers, we will get it to the CDC and let them know. If you give us a description of the type of position and any age restrictions, because some businesses only want over 18, and this particular program is ranges from age 16 to 24.
Yes.
And there is an income requirement. I think they primarily have to be lower income.
Commissioner Cox could hire someone in his business if he wanted to.
I'm in the city, I'm sorry.
Well,
it doesn't matter where the location of the business is. It's just the persons who are applying through the parish have to live outside the city limits.
Thank you.
Commissioner Pearson?
Yes, if you notice, we have placed on your station this yellow copy, which is a listing of all the swimming pools. This is continued upon the conversation we had on Monday, and how much it costs to open each one. And not necessarily for discussion at this time, but wanted you to have that information so that when we do come up for a discussion, we'll have some facts and some figures that will make us a little bit more intelligent about, really what we're talking about. So if you would, please hold on to that, and I think pretty soon we'll be having some discussions on it. Thank you, Madam President.
Commissioner Epperson?
I'd like to announce that on May the 4th, 2 o'clock p.m., we'll be calling a code enforcement committee meeting. We would like for all the JPs and constables to be present. Mr. Demiche, the parish attorney, the representatives, public works representative, and each committee person. And what we're going to do is we're going to seek if there are any more concerns from the JPs and the constables. We're going to discuss their compensation. We're going to see if we can finalize putting some more teeth within the proposals that we have at this present time on the ordinances. I'd like to set a deadline. Hopefully we can introduce them sometime in May, maybe have it passed by June, and to make them effective the 1st of July. That will give us about a 30-day window to advertise and notify and give the constituents in the parish an opportunity to realize what's coming to them. Also, I'd like to ask the parish attorney in relations to the law that I think brought down us being able to donate adjudicated property to non-profit organizations. Could you maybe research that a little bit for me? And I'd like to see, why that was in place and what happened, because I think that's something that we might need to see if we can get our state legislators to look at again. And I have a concern too relative to a constitutional provision that I've been informed about, that I would relate that to you also and see if that would have a bearing on it. And I think in the committee meeting we had Monday, I think someone mentioned that we were going to be billed for our portion of the security that's provided in the lobby. Have we received that invoice?
Yes, sir. We've received, what we informed you all on Monday is that the city has billed us for security for 2007, 2008, and 2009, so far in 2009. We were not aware, we had not been paying the bills, our share of the bills, and the total right now is $60,000, about $60,000. We're estimating that it'll be about $30,000 a year, so we'll have a budget amendment before you all to pay the $60,000 that's in arrears, and then we'll plan to budget that for future years, beginning in 2010.
That's for 3 offices?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
5 days a week, not just meeting days, but throughout the week?
That's correct.
It's 5 days a week, various hours.
You said varying hours?
6 a.m. to 6 p.m., depending on the length of the meetings.
Okay.
They stay until the end of the meetings.
Okay. I received a notice from the EPA about a hearing that will be held on May the 4th, 6:30 to 9, the Pioneer Community Building in Greenwood, Louisiana, relative to, I think, cleanup of the old Krieger battery site. Is that anything that the administration may want to participate in also and know about? If so, I'll pass it on.
So they get a copy of that.
Okay. Also on April the 28th at 6:30 p.m. at the Western Hills Baptist Church Gymnasium, 4153 Pines Road, I will be hosting a semi-annual district informational meeting, and I would already informed the staff
We have representatives from the Sheriff's Department, the Tax Assessor's Office, coordinating and development. The oil companies will be out. We want to go out and let the citizens know the state of the parish, have them to interact with the various agencies and see what their concerns are and keep them informed. And that'll be at 6:30 p.m. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner McCullough?
Yes, I have two things. I wanted to thank Mr. Pearson for this summary of expenses in regards to the swimming pools. But in looking at this first sheet, Mr. Pearson, does this summary include the actual cost of water that it's going to take to run those pools during the summer?
It's all inclusive. All those individual sheets, like the first one is A.D. Palmer. The $30,361.98 is all inclusive. That's including water and.
So the DOWUS is the water, the $9,000, say for instance $718.49. That's water.
Yep.
For the entire usage.
For the summer.
Okay. And another thing I wanted to ask of administration: have you completed your report? Because
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. The one thing I wanted to ask of you, Mr. Wilson, in regards of the meeting that was held in the conference room on the 8th floor on yesterday,
I'll make sure it is.
if you would bring this body up to speed on the Project Clean Slate that I introduced this time last year, would you explain to this body the nature of that meeting from yesterday, please?
Okay. We did meet yesterday with Ms. McCullough and Commissioner McCullough and Mr. Lester Smith in regards to a Project Clean Slate, and that is to give first offenders a chance to get their records expunged. And I understand, to the best of my knowledge, that there's already an existing statute on the Louisiana law that give them that provision, but you have to apply for it on the front end. And I understand the problem is a lot of people don't understand it. So the Project Clean Slate is an opportunity for them to come back later at a later date and to get expungement of their criminal records. And usually it's just for misdemeanor cases. So Mr. McCullough's request met yesterday, and we're going to meet with the sheriff and the DA and district court to see if they have an interest in going forward with this idea. So more meetings. I know we're going to meet again in June the 27th.
June 26th at 8:30.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much.
Commissioner Dominique?
Oh, I just wanted to mention too, I know May 4th, Commissioner Epperson had that taken up, so May 7th, 2 o'clock, we'll have a Park and Recreation Committee meeting for May 7th, and Ms. Vito will be sending out information on that. We're going to have just an update on a Park and Recreation and some other agenda items, so I just wanted to mention that at this time.
No other commissioners? I get to embarrass one person today, hopefully. I think it was last weekend that the Shreveport was inundated with a bunch of guys walking around in purple. I'm not sure if you happen to be in the downtown area. There were about 1,500 men of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity were hosting their regional conference in Shreveport. And Mr. Henry Wesley, who's the Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation, kind of headed that up for this region. Wesley? I understand that it was a very successful conference and they spent a lot of money. Our administrator gave the, what should do, prayer or welcome?
Welcome.
The welcome that Saturday morning at... Friday morning, like at 8 o'clock, there were, 1,500 or so men there. Why the president of the commission was not asked to do that welcome with all those men there, I don't know. But
Nice tongue, John.
But thank you, Mr. Wesley, and all that. Who are they? Next item, Mr. Spears.
Let's see if nobody has any more communiques. Let's see, visitors are the next order of
Need
business.
a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved. Second.
Okay, without exception. First, special guest today is Mr. Jeffrey Goodman. Come on up. Who's an independent filmmaker. I know we're doing a lot of discussion about the film industry, and a lot of times we're talking about people from California and New York and other areas, but right here in our own city and parish, we have homegrown filmmakers, and so I wanted I got an email from his mother, and I wanted to invite him down to kind of tell us about what he's doing to promote the local industry here.
Thank you. Thank you guys for letting me speak to you today.
Let's get you to give your name and address for the record.
Sure. Jeffrey Goodman, 409 Southfield Road, Shreveport, 71106. And I have just some visuals if anyone wants to see them. I have postcards I can give anyone who'd like some, and posters. They're free. But just want to mention a few things about what I'm up to. Today's part of a series of speaking engagements leading up to a major launch of The Last Lullaby in the Shreveport-Bossier area. The Last Lullaby is a film I directed that was financed and shot entirely in our area. The film's co-written by the creator of The Road to Perdition and stars Tom Sizemore, who many people know from Saving Private Ryan and Black Hawk Down, and Sasha Alexander, many people recognize from NCIS, Dawson's Creek, and most recently the film's Yes Man and He's Just Not That Into You. The film's received tremendous reviews and won noteworthy awards screening at festivals all over the world, including Dallas, St. Louis, San Diego, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, the Bahamas, and Fort Lauderdale. And it'll screen this weekend in Memphis before its theatrical launch here on May 1st. For those of you that don't know me, I'm originally from this area and have been living back here for a little over 4 years, and I'm hoping to stay and be a part of growing our local film industry. But in order for me to stay and continue making movies here, I'm going to need everyone's support. So The Last Lullaby is screening May 1st, May 2nd, and May 3rd in the Regal Cinema at the Louisiana Boardwalk. There'll be 5 screenings per day, 11:30, 2 o'clock, 4:30, 7 o'clock, and 9:30. I'll be there to introduce all 15 screens that premiere weekend. I'll also be there to answer questions with the audiences following all 15 screens. I'm hoping that everyone in this room will attend one of these screens and encourage others to do the same. Tickets are now available at www.thelastlullaby.com. I do encourage you, if you are interested, to go ahead and buy your tickets, as screens are going to sell out quickly. In fact, I have tickets on my person today if anyone would like one. We've already sold out 2 of the screens, but we do have tickets remaining for the 13 other screens. I'm really hoping the community is going to come out and support the film in a very major way. The Last Lullaby is really one of our most substantial homegrown films since the film industry arrived here, and if it's a success, it's going to allow me, first off, to continue making movies here, but even more important, it's going to open up the doors for other people who want to be a part of our indigenous film industry. So I'm hoping all of you guys here today will leave Lullaby supporters and spread the following 2 messages in our community. Number 1, buy your tickets now before it's too late. We really hope to sell out the weekend before it even starts. And number 2, that The Last Lullaby's premiere weekend is really a vital piece to sustaining this industry in our area. Thank you guys for having me.
Let me ask you, because one other piece of information was that if the community, business community, individuals, if a threshold of 3,000 tickets were sold, that it would be there's something historical to that. Can you?
Right. Well, I'm sure many of you are familiar with opening the paper on Monday morning and seeing the chart of studio films and the top 10 films from the weekend. Well, independent films like ours have a similar thing, but they do it by per screen average, because most independent films only open on 1 or 2 screens. And so our goal is to be the independent film the weekend that we open with the highest per screen average of any film in the country. And I've been tracking and charting these numbers for the last year, and usually the film with the highest per screen average hovers around $16,000 to $17,000 per screen. So I've done the calculation that if we can sell 3,000 tickets at an average of $6 a piece, we would sell $18,000 worth of tickets and pretty much assure ourselves of being the film with the highest per screen average in the country. If that were to happen, what's going to happen is we're going to be mentioned in all the national publications covering independent films, and suddenly a lot of national attention is going to be cast both on the film and on the area. So that's our goal, and it's really important that the community come out and make this thing happen. Doesn't get any more homegrown than this film. I have 49 investors, 48 from the Shreveport-Bossier area, and we filmed the entire movie within a 30-mile radius of here.
Okay, well, good. And I'm committing to getting some tickets today. And I would have a date if I had made it to that Omega Sci-Fi convention. But Commissioner Lynn.
I'll be Stephanie Lynn's date and that event to the movie. I'll take those 2 tickets for that. And then also I'd like to thank Mr. Goodman for choosing Columbia Cafe to shoot his movie in, and so that was one of our sites that he shot the movie, and I greatly appreciate that. And they took very good care of the restaurant for the days that they were in there.
Commissioner Cox.
No offense, the Taco Bell is full, huh? We got a great restaurant. On an independent film, kind of give us an idea, how does it go from independent to be a national release? I mean, are you looking for a big weekend here to have a national brand pick it up?
Well, I mean, what I'm looking for is we're releasing the film initially ourselves, or I should say I. The only way we can kind of give ourselves a chance of expanding into other markets is to have a really successful launch here. What could happen in an ideal situation is theaters would start calling us saying, we've heard about your film, we've read about it, we'd like for you to bring it into our areas. And a lot of theaters in a lot of different cities all over the country have a certain amount of audience and a certain following already. And so if that were to happen, that would really allow us to kind of spread our wings and expand into other markets. What I've told my investors is that I'll continue going city to city with the film as long as it's financially self-sustaining. So, the hope and goal really is to give ourselves a little bit of a cushion coming out of this area, which is our most familiar, our safest market, as we go into more unfamiliar foreign markets. I'm really hoping the community will recognize the importance of coming out. I mean, it's really just for the price of a normal movie ticket, $6 for 3 of the showings or $8.50 for the 2 night showings. The other thing I want to mention is that a lot of people, since the start of the film industry here, a lot of people have sort of said, well, why don't we have a place like Austin in Louisiana? Austin has had an indigenous film industry for the last 20 years, and yet it's grown that without tax incentives. We've had the advantage of tax incentives, yet we haven't really been able to build an indigenous hub yet in the state. And the reason that Austin was able to do that is that early on in Austin's history, some films made by Austinites in Austin got on the national radar. That hasn't happened yet for an indigenous Louisiana film. This film probably has the best shot of any film yet coming out of the state for that to happen. And, I'm really hoping to stay here and make my next movie here. And, if this film's a success, what I think will happen is a lot of people will hear about it and say, oh, there's something special going on up there in North Louisiana. I want to go be a part of that scene, of that industry. And, we've already seen an influx of some people coming to be a part of this industry. And I think if this film's successful, it'll only continue and increase that.
Can you give us some background on what the movie is about?
Sure. I tell people in short it's about a hitman and a librarian who sort of form this unusual bond. If I had to characterize it as a type of movie, I'd say it falls into the category of crime dramas. And it is rated R, so it's not appropriate for young children. There is a little profanity and a little violence, no nudity, but it's all very artfully done. Like I said, it's been recognized and acclaimed the world over.
And your first showing, first night, sold out already?
The 2 showings, so we have 15 showings total. We have 11:30, 2 o'clock, 4:30, 7 o'clock, and 9:30 Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The 7 o'clock on Friday night and the 7 o'clock on Saturday night have both sold out. I do want to mention, too, that both mayors, Mayor Glover and Mayor Walker, are doing a proclamation on Thursday, April 30th, and they're proclaiming the last roll by Jeffrey Goodman weekend. So the community, is very much in support of this, and I just hope, I think it's one of these things that the community wants to support and wants to come out and see. It's just a matter of making everyone aware and making them realize it's very important that you come out and support it now, this weekend, when it's here, and don't wait and just, buy a ticket, come see a movie for 2 hours. And it's a very good movie, and you'll see your area represented as well. Plus, for the price of a normal movie ticket, you'll get to hear me introduce every movie. You'll get to ask me questions after every movie. Also, everyone who goes to see the movie will receive a goodie bag with coupons for the Boardwalk establishment. So you'll get a lot for the price of a normal movie ticket.
Well, good luck to you, and hang around with us some tickets.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me, everyone.
No, we have a couple other commissions. We did it the old-fashioned way, like you collect money in church. We passed it down. Commissioner Baker?
I just wanted to know, you were saying to keep you here? What constitutes you staying here? What do you need?
Well, I mean, I have 49 investors. You know, film is unfortunately not the least expensive of artistic ventures. It requires a significant amount of funds and investment, and fortunately I've been able to find that in this area, and I've found great support. But I also realize that unless I'm able to take care of the people who take a risk on me and support me, that I'm not going to be able to continue doing this for that long. And so, I need this film to have a certain amount of success financially so that the people that invested will continue this relationship with me, and if some of them don't, that others will be incentivized to work with me, because they will have heard that, hey, not only does he make good movies, but he also is a good businessman and he knows how to take care of the people who invest with him. I'm very happy here. I just got engaged to a Shreveport woman. This is home. My parents are here. I lived in Los Angeles for 7 years. I'm much happier working here, but I have to be able to find the money, and I mean, there's definitely the infrastructure and there's definitely the support now. I just need to be able to continue to find the money for my projects in order for me to stay here.
Is that weekend that you're showing, that's the only weekend you're going to show, or you're going to do something?
That's the only weekend we're slated to show in the area. We're then moving forward May 8th through 14th. We're in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, because the Road to Perdition writer is a celebrity in Iowa. So I'm going to go out to Iowa, and we're going to do question and answer sessions and do a similar thing out there. And then we're actually in another city, May 15th through 21st in Iowa, Davenport, Iowa. And then I don't really know where we're going from there. A lot of it depends on how successful the launch is here, and if we're still in the black by that point, by May 21st. And, I'd love for this to continue and grow and get bigger and bigger. I'd love to hit as many as 25, 30, 50 cities, but at the same time, it's going to be a case-by-case basis, and it's a big risk just taking it out ourselves and going to these 3 cities.
Congratulations. I wish you well.
Oh, thank you so much.
Commissioner Escudé.
Yeah, I was going to just tell you, I was going to get some tickets to support you anyway, but now that I know it's not a chick flick, I will be there. So it sounds like it's a good film, and I want to also commend Commissioner Lynn for manning up on all aspects of his obligation that he committed for a little while ago.
And I just want to interject 1 second. A lot of people do get the wrong impression when I tell them what the movie's about, that it is just for men, but it actually is kind of the ideal date movie. The female character is as strong and as interesting as the male character, and what I found in traveling the world for the last year with the film is that some of our biggest fans are actually females. So I do encourage you, if you are interested, to come President Lynch, I know you'll find someone to accompany you. I do encourage everyone to come as a pair.
You were doing good, Jim. I'm not going to give you a weekend confirmation. Have your mom to wave. She's hiding in the back, Miss Goodman. Good to see you.
I see you.
Thank you for inviting us. You're welcome. I have no other commissioners. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. So just hang out if people want tickets, or how does that work?
Yeah.
See Mom.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope to see you all at the movies.
Yes, thank you. And we do have quite a few, Mr. Goodman, we do have quite a few entrepreneurs in here as well, and so make sure they get some posters and cards to put at their businesses.
I'll sign them if anyone wants.
Okay, all right. Next, we have another special guest, Mr. Charles Tutt, Andrew T. Walker Drilling Company representative. You can state your full name and address for the record, please.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Charles Tutt. I'm a lawyer with Tutt, Stroud & McKay, 920 Piermont Road, Suite 308 in Shreveport. I have a handout that I would like for each one of the commissioners to have. There should be one there for each of the commissioners. feel a little inadequate following what you just heard. I don't think mine is nearly as sexy or interesting or anything else, but it is an important issue to Walker, and it deals with drilling units, which are getting to be a bigger and bigger issue in this area, particularly with the Haynesville Shale. And Mr. Walker has been fighting a battle with the Office of Conservation that we'd like just to make you aware of in case you hear from any of your constituents, and you'll have the real information there from Mr. Walker about his position and what he's concerned about. You'll know what we're talking about. We're not asking you to do anything perhaps and lend assistance to any of your constituents who have the same concerns that Mr. Walker does. If you look back through the years, the oil and gas discoveries were, in the beginning, they were hit and miss, and there were no regulations, and there were races to drill this field and drill that field, and some people felt there were inequities in the system and so forth. And so Louisiana decided to enact a mineral code, and in 1940 enacted the mineral code. And one of the things that they set up in the mineral code was units. And the critical thing to remember about these units, and the reason we're not, you may think some of the things we say are just, you've got to let free enterprise go, you've got to let business do what they want to do, and that's all well and true. But we're talking about force pool units, where if you own property and somebody goes in and the Office of Conservation establishes a unit, and you're in that unit, you're stuck in that unit. You have no ability to get out of the unit, no ability to control what goes on, particularly within that unit. And the reason for that is that the Constitution allows the government to exercise the police power when it's in the best interest of everybody, but it's also the whole idea of the units in the beginning was to establish fairness and equity in the development of these various fields. And the statute, when it was enacted in 1940, established that each unit was to be established at whatever size the Office of Conservation determined one well could economically drain. In other words, you would determine if the well could drain 300 acres, you might have 300-acre units. If it could drain 200 acres, you might have 200-acre units. Well, through the years, the Office of Conservation has developed a practice of creating 640-acre units. And we've shown on page 2 of the drawing of the handout that Mr. Walker gave you, you'll see that for a long time, this is what it looked like. You would have 640-acre units, and you would have a unit well. The Office of Conservation is supposed to establish where the unit well will be, and then the Office of Conservation is supposed to approve that well, and there's supposed to be a unit well drilled, and that unit well is supposed to be there to drain the entire unit. Well, in the last decade, back in the 90s, when the price of gas went through the roof, for whatever reason, and I do not know the reason, the Office of Conservation started approving numerous wells in units. Rather than go back and take the time to determine what size a unit should be, the Office of Conservation decided just to allow several wells in each unit. And perhaps the reason for that was because if you look on page 3, you'll see that there's a unit C that has any number of wells in it. There's a unit B that only has one well in it. Well, that operator in unit B can hold that entire unit with that one well. And so he doesn't have to drill. He can choose and pick and choose when he drills, where he drills, and on whose property he drills. Title 30, the Mineral Code, was established not just to develop minerals, but also for conservation, and one of the things it's supposed to conserve is surface use. And I would suggest to you that in the Unit C that you see there, what you have is a situation where they drill a whole bunch of wells to take advantage of $9 and $10 gas, as opposed to letting the lesser wells play out over the years and produce the same amount of gas and conserve the surface. So whereas the statute says the whole idea of the units is to conserve the surface and to prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells, the Office of Conservation basically allows operators to just drill as many wells as they would like. Now we have the Haynesville Shale coming into play, and you're going to have situations where, for example, because of available technology, enough drilling rigs, enough pipelines, you're going to have some sections where they're going to have 6 or 8 wells, and they're going to be taking advantage of all of the drilling rigs, all of the pipelines, and the guy next door is not going to be able to is not going to have anybody, not going to have a drilling unit available, and not going to have a pipeline available to get his gas out of the ground if he wants to. So what we're trying to do, and what we've asked the Office of Conservation to do, is to re-evaluate the manner in which it creates units, and also specifically to follow the law, because the law says that the unit has to be the area that can be drained by one well. And if they would do that, they could avoid a lot of confusion, they could avoid a lot of discrimination or different treatment of different people in different sections and different landowners within a section, having any number of wells drilled on their property where the people next door don't have any wells on their property. You would have then a more equitable distribution and a more equitable production. And again, we're not trying to keep anybody from producing. What we're saying is there's only so many people that can produce at a time under the Haynesville Shale, and that's the problem there. But the first point we want to make to you, and there's been articles in the newspaper where the Office of Conservation has been quoted and so forth, they've suggested that our position is incorrect, but if you take Title 30, Section 9, you can't read it any other way but one well per unit. They rely on another section which deals with wells below 15,000 feet, where you have a whole different scheme for setting up units to say that, well, we ought to be able to set up units however we want. But our position is that's not correct, and if they go back and apply the law as it exists, or go change the law if they think the law needs to be changed, but as long as the law is what it is, it's our position that they should comply with the law. I'd be glad to try to answer any questions that you have. Mr. Walker is here. This is just something that we've been working on, and I think Mr. Epperson called Mr. Walker and invited him to make a presentation. Yeah. He asked me to come with him. So.
Mr. Ted, I have several commissioners that have questions. Commissioner Thibodeau?
Mr. Ted, does the depth of the well have anything to do with the size of the unit? I mean, is a 1,200 foot?
Not necessarily. It could. The Conservation Commission can set up whatever size unit it wants, but most of them are 640 acres.
So there is no standardized unit size currently for each of the levels that you could drill to?
Pretty much 640 acres has been standard, but the testimony before the commission is that that one well can't produce all of the gas in the 640 acres. And our position is, well, if that's the case, you need to make 160 acre units or whatever is appropriate to drain so that one well can drain the unit.
So what you're saying is, as the law is currently written, the Conservation Department is issuing drilling permits for wells knowing, according to you, knowing that it is illegal.
Knowing that it violates this statute, and that's illegal. Knowing that this statute does not allow for it.
So what is it that you would like to see us do?
Well, just be aware of the situation, and if you have an opportunity or if you know somebody that's in the business, encourage them to consider these issues, and if you have any influence with the Conservation Commission, talk to them or whatever. But primarily, we're just trying to get his position out.
Wouldn't this be something that would need to be be solved in the court?
We do have a lawsuit pending against the Office of Conservation. We do.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dominique?
I think Commissioner Thibodeau answered a couple of my questions. You keep saying gas, it also applies to oil too, right? I mean, so it could be either one.
Yeah.
It could be oil or gas.
Right.
And I guess it's kind of the last question that you asked. Has an injunction been filed? Is that where we're at, or I said where you guys are at? It seems like that would be the step that needs to be taken. I guess you have to file East Baton Rouge Parish or something like that. Is that correct?
You have to file it in East Baton Rouge Parish, and you have to name as defendants, according to the judge in East Baton Rouge Parish, every mineral owner in the area where you're concerned. We've had to name 90-something people as defendants.
Do y'all have a court date on your...
No.
But y'all do have a pending lawsuit that's trying to address some of these issues, I guess, on the property that Mr. Walker has concerned about that's here in Caddo Parish.
It's actually in DeSoto Parish. It's owned by O'Gare.
It's called what?
It's owned by O'Gare.
Okay, I got you. I understand.
Right.
I think that's all I have. Appreciate you coming today.
Sure. Thank you.
Commissioner Cox?
Looking at on page 3 of your diagram, I have a gentleman that's a friend of mine that's in this situation right now. And his land only has one well on it, and they've got it cut back. But yet, they're drilling around him everywhere.
That's right, and as long as that well is producing, they don't have to drill any other wells in that unit.
Okay, so what does somebody like that mean? Because, trash and oil and gas have no limits, have no boundaries, have no regulations. They're written, but yet they can get away with everything that we've learned in the last 8 to 10 months. So what does an individual who has a tract of land, who has the right, just as a big landowner or a big company, where does somebody like that go?
Well, he can email or call Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker will do everything he can to help him. We've engaged Mr. Smith's daughter, Sherry Cheek, and she's been talking to the Office of Conservation. And the Office of Conservation has indicated that they're going to review how they establish the Haynesville unit. But I don't know where he goes for any help, to tell you the truth. We've been to the Office of Conservation. They're not interested in that.
See, it comes down, like the good old saying goes, what's right's right, what's wrong's wrong. And from what you've given us today, they're wrong.
I am convinced their position is wrong.
And there's nothing down in Baton Rouge that's telling them they need to stop.
Right.
So has anybody contacted above his head, which would be the governor?
Mr. Walker has communicated with the governor, with both governors, Governor Blanco and now Governor General, without any. Governor General reappointed a commissioner that served under Governor Blanco.
Which was basically a mistake? I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but...
I don't know.
Okay. So, realistically, the gentleman that I'm talking about, that I know, he can just go through the motions and...
Got a problem.
Well, that's a major problem, and just you being here today just reaffirms that. So, thank you for your time.
Commissioner Baker?
In an overdeveloped unit, excuse me, does that make the unit more accident prone, or is it a risk to the landowner?
Any oil and gas activity creates traffic and dust and trash and so forth. So, it could, yes. I mean, I'm sure that the oil producers would tell you that they exercise as much caution as they can. But I think the more gas wells you have in an area, the more drilling you have, the more opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming and sharing this information. Commissioner Escaday?
The statute that you're referring to that dictates, as I understand, you said one well site per unit. That was initially set up to protect the ground area and the environment. It had nothing to do with an equity or fairness or anything like that. That's just the conservation aspect.
Is that what this statute covers, or does it
No,
speak to the
that
rest?
was intended to protect mineral owners as well as landowners, because every landowner within the unit gets a share of what is produced from that well. So the unit sizes are intended to protect the mineral owners, and they were intended to protect the landowners. But, for example, if you can own 500 acres, surface rights in 500 acres in a 640-acre unit. You'll never get notice of any activity at the Office of Conservation. They do not consider surface owners interested parties.
Well, that's been going on forever.
It's been going on forever.
But what I'm asking you is, this statute is specifically addressing the unit, what it consists of, and by law, what's allowable to be done in that unit.
Yes, sir.
And as it says, as said, the unit's 640 acres?
Most are.
Most are, and no more than one well per unit.
Yes, sir.
That's what the state statute says.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It doesn't speak to a unit next to it where they're able to be developed because of overdevelopment or any of that. It's just for conservation activity per unit. See, because you've got two issues you presented here. One is that the law is not being followed according to the way the statute reads, that there's overactivity. But secondly, you bring up the fairness and equity issue about adjacent unit owners and all that kind of stuff. So there's two issues here. I'm just trying to clarify. The state statute that you're saying that the Department of Conservation is not following, it has nothing to do with the fairness issue about somebody that's over in another unit. It's dealing with
Well, it does, because the units are supposed to be set up in such a size as to fairly develop the field, the entire field, not just...
Okay, and those units, as I understand it, most of them, they were done years ago, were they not?
No, they're continuing to make new units.
They continue to make new, and who does that?
Office of Conservation.
Office of Conservation. Okay, so as far as what you have seen, the way that they are developing these units, are they doing that just arbitrarily, or are they trying to do that geographically? What criteria are they supposed to develop a unit to try to get the most out of the formation? I mean...
Well, I've been there 5 or 6 times and listened to the hearings, and as far as I can tell, the size of the unit is never an issue. It's always 640 acres.
Okay, so they just squeeze it in, they fit the puzzle together however it's got to fit. Okay. So basically what you want them to do is follow the law. And you think by making them follow the law, then one well per unit, then other existing adjacent units in a field would have the opportunity to be developed because they're not overdeveloping that one thing. Well, this has been going on forever, hasn't it?
I assume.
Well, I mean, pretty much in the whole state. I've never heard anybody bring this up.
No, before about 1995, you would never see more than one gas well in a 640-acre unit. Okay. That's when the idea of this alternate well proposal came into being, and it's our position that at that point they should have changed the size of the units to fit the law, not tried to operate outside the law or rewrite the law to satisfy.
Right. So prior to the Haynesville Shale and its activity, it hadn't been an issue because
it's been an issue since about 95.
Well, but there hadn't been activity on this magnitude,
no,
this scale as we've experienced now, and it's kind of basically it seemed like the carpetbaggers are coming in from out of state and they're exploiting the resources we have here because the Department of Conservation will not follow the law that's on the books. I'm not an attorney as Mr. Dominic, but I mean, how hard is it for the government? Who enforces the state's own statutes, and why can't they compel their own department?
Well, we hope that the court in East Baton Rouge Parish will do that, but when you have to locate, find, and serve at a cost of about $100 a head, 90-something defendants, it slows you down. So that's what we've been working on.
So you're doing this, and you're doing this on behalf of what? Or this organization?
No, I'm doing that on behalf of Mr. Walker and his family.
Okay.
Because they're the actual landowners in DeSoto Parish who've been adversely impacted by this.
But anyway, this will have this will affect everyone in the state ultimately if you prevail. This is kind of really strange. Well, I wish you luck.
I think I'm going to need a little luck. Oil companies have considerable resources.
Well, I was going to ask that other question. I mean, where's your resistance coming from? Is it all lobby down, trying to...
It's all the producing companies.
All the producing companies. And basically, the Department of Conservation, the director, just all of a sudden decided he wanted to follow state statute if he wanted to, and all this would go away.
Well, it would require a lot of reunitization, which they don't want to do, probably because they're holding a lot of wells with, or a lot of units with not very many wells.
Well, I'm sure it is. Is there, if this body chose to, once we've digested all this, is there anything that we could do to aid you in your effort?
You could do whatever you want to do. I'm not familiar with enough with your Constitution. I have all the respect in the world for Charles Grubb. He can guide you in that as to what you can do. But I just think you all knowing about it and talking to people you know and trying to use your, if you agree with our position, use your political influence.
We'll have to let ultimately the court decide that.
Yeah.
From my position, I think I can speak for everybody here, that now that we're aware that potentially the citizens that we all collectively represent could be taken advantage of because the law is not being followed, then we have an interest to make sure that they're protected.
Yeah.
So, anyway, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Epperson?
Thank you for coming, Mr. Tuck. That's basically my concern. You know, we realize, and we're just entering into the boundary with the Haynesville Sheriff. There are a lot of things that we aren't familiar with within this process, and we're at a learning stage at this point in time. Now, I appreciate Mr. Walker submitting that information to me and my colleagues as well. But my reason for having you here today was to see if we could be enlightened upon the process. As I stated, we're constantly learning. We realize that the bulk of what can happen in the oil and gas industry lies within the hands of the Department of Natural Resources in Baton Rouge.
Yes.
But we still, I think, have a responsibility to educate ourselves as much as possible from both sides of the industry. You know, the drilling and production companies as well as the landowners. So therefore, we can look at this situation and see if there are some issues that will adversely affect our constituents. So that's basically why I invited you here today, and I think we have on the agenda an ordinance to engage a person to focus in our oil and gas regulations. So maybe that's one thing that we can do. We can take this issue, and once we take on that ordinance, and we can submit that to Mr. Grubb as well as that individual that's supposed to focus on this particular type legal aspects, and see what we can do. Yes. Be it if it's the wishes of this body to go on a resolution of support once we learn. Yes. If we can do things that we might could work with our Police Jury Association, which we're members of in Baton Rouge, to aid us in maybe changing the minds of our elected officials in Baton Rouge. Yes. So we thank you for coming today.
Commissioner McCullough.
Yes, because I'm in the learning stage, and I reviewed several area maps prior to this meeting. In looking at Unit C, this is what is the amount of acreage for Unit C?
640 acres.
And the same thing for A, B,
yes,
all the rest of them, 640.
It's a square mile, basically.
And so if this was me in Unit B, you're saying that I wouldn't be able to get the full benefit based on the number of wells that are in Unit C.
So you might not be able to if your operator chose not to drill those wells in that unit. You're in that unit, so you're left up to what the operator chooses to do.
In Unit C?
Well, in either unit.
In either one.
Yes, ma'am.
And so based on what I'm looking at, this says 1995. So prior to 1995, am I to understand that these wells came at or after 1995?
Yes, ma'am. Those are all Cotton Valley wells. The Cotton Valley, because of a new frac technique, they started drilling a lot more concentrated Cotton Valley wells.
So it was in 1995 when
Around there.
the Office of Conservation decided to to not...
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's what I wanted to have clarity on that.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Commissioner Pearson.
Just one question. If the Office of Conservation decided to decrease the size of a unit, and you still had, let's say they cut unit C into quarters or eighths, and made that unit significantly smaller, you had a well in each unit, maybe two in each unit, you would still, in essence, have the same thing that you have in Unit C now.
Could have, but you should have one well in each unit, and then when that well plays out, then you would know that well couldn't drain that unit. If there was still gas left there, you could get it. But we've got wells that have been producing for 20 years.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it would be significant for the Office of Conservation to decide on the size of a unit that could be properly drilled, because if you divide the 630 acres into quarters or eighths, you could, and then put a well on each unit, you could probably be doing the same thing that's happening now. I just wanted to ask the question.
It's a difficult proposition.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I think that's it.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to go back to the regular session. All righty, without exception. Next item, we have a public hearing on zoning cases.
Yes, ma'am, this is a zoning case appeal, P309, 5999 Jefferson Page Road. The property is located on the southwest side of Jefferson Page Road, 475 feet southeast of Pines Road, Dollar General, Jefferson Page Road, applicant appellant.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this ordinance? Zoning case, sorry. State your full name for the record and address, please.
Colby Nix, 7711 Mary Eve Road, Shreveport, 71106. I'm a real estate broker representing the landowners, and to give a little background to this application, it's actually the two applications, this one and the next one on your agenda. The original applications were handled by the developer, Dollar General, and when the MPC denied the application originally, Dollar General decided that they would allow the landowner to proceed with any appeal, and as opposed to having their representative proceed with the appeal. So I was not directly involved with the preparation or the application initially. There's one major issue, I believe, in this site plan application that the staff has identified that we feel like we can correct given a short period of time. We were just made totally aware of the issue, which had to do with the congestion of deliveries of delivery trucks, and we feel like given a short period of time, a week or so, we can correct that issue by enlarging the site and enlarging the parking and driveways to accommodate for that. So we would like to request a delay or extension on this application to your next meeting in order to correct that problem.
You think?
Yes, ma'am.
So we don't ask questions at this stage. It's just
Okay.
present whatever your case is.
Okay.
Do you have any other persons that are going to be speaking in favor with you?
No, at this time, we'd just like the extension of time for for one meeting to bring the issue back.
Are there any other persons here to speak in favor of this zoning case? Are there persons here to speak in opposition? Mr. Starks, state your full name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Madam President, and to the board. Good evening to all of y'all. I'm Clifton Starks at 3529 Ricky Way, 71119. And hopefully that you all will render the same decision that the MPC, and they took a lot in consideration of making their ruling, and hopefully that you all will consider that a business would be an asset in the community. And from past experience, even now, we have Dollar General store that is closed. You have another Dollar General store further down the Greenwood Road, and it seemed like they like to locate close by those Family Dollar. Of course, to me, when people trying to go in business, whether it's a company or individual, usually their motive is to make money, and I see no way that they can make any money, because everybody, all the citizens in the area, and not only where I live, but other communities around there, from Western Hill Estate, Timberline, Long Timber, everyone is against this Dollar General store, and any such store of that nature where it's not going to be a access to the community. And with the competition that's out there, the Walmart, I mean, it's no way that they could make it. And basically what we would like to do, and this is any business, even if you all, anybody wanted to open up a business, we live there, and we definitely want to support your business. The only way you're going to make money is that if we support your business. If we don't support your business, you're going to eventually close up, and we have other vacant buildings there in the community. So I urge you all to please follow suit with the MPC, and thank you very much.
Are there other persons to speak in opposition? Good afternoon. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. My name is Joyce Lawrence. I reside at 4107 Scenic Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71119. I am the Vice President of the Western Hills Estates Neighborhood Association, who collectively represent over 1,300 acres of property in the area that the proposed dollar store is planned. At the Metropolitan Planning Commission meeting, we provided lots of data in terms of Shreveport being just overwhelmed with dollar stores. And if you'd like to check yourself, you might Google or Yahoo dollar stores Shreveport, Louisiana. In either one of those locations, you will get either 335 or over 450 dollar stores located in Shreveport. We currently are in our neighborhood and in the vicinity are already overwhelmed with dollar stores. There's a Dollar Mania located next to the UPS store in the strip mall. There's a Dollar Tree located right next to the Shell station on Pines Road. There is a Family Dollar located next to the U.S. Post Office. There's another Family Dollar directly across the street where this developer has requested to place yet another dollar store. We have a dollar store that is a building from a dollar store that's vacant because the dollar store was not able to maintain its profit line at the on Greenwood Road next to where the Old Catfish Kitchen and Brookshire's used to be. We're asking that you affirm the MPC's decision. I know that the representative here just asked for a delay. We ask that you not delay this decision. We ask you to work with the city and its planning commission and its representative for a master plan, that you take a close look and work closely with those bodies to do some real serious economic development in our community that keeps our community viable and safe. The dollar store that's there already has already become a site for parking lot trash. We are asking that you affirm the city MPC's decision and not allow yet another dollar store to come in to provide degradation to the community and become another source of blight in our community. Thank you.
I have a report here from Lewis Brooks on this. Good afternoon, Mr. Brooks.
Good evening.
Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Lewis C. Brooks, the president of the Civic Club Twilight Meadow Community. And I would just like to say amen to what Ms. Lawson just said. We have enough dollar stores in our community. So we are here to protect our environment, our community. So we ask you all on the commission staff to reject, do not give them another appeal in time or an extension on this. Go ahead and deny their decision so that they cannot build this store in our community. We have enough dollar stores. When that should be enough, this is enough stores in our area. So I speak in behalf of Reverend I.E. Smith. He couldn't make the trip here today, so he also opposed this building this store next to the church. So if you take a close look at this, there's another dollar store 1,000 feet away. So why would he want to bring this other store in our community? We ask you, if you would, please deny or reject whatever you can do today to not allow this store to be placed in our community. Thank you very much.
Are there any other persons to speak in opposition to this case? Next case.
That would be SP 609, I believe. James Sarah Price, the applicant's appellants. It's related to the first case. We're looking to approval for property located on Jefferson Page and Pine Road for a proposed Dollar General.
Are there persons here to speak in favor of this zoning case?
Kobe next again. This is the same case as the one before. I would like to point out to the commission that this is not a zoning application. It's not a change of zoning. The zoning that's in place on this piece of property is B2. It was B2 when the church decided to locate next to this piece of property, and we would like to point out that the dollar stores in the area do provide a service that reduces the cost to many citizens in this community. And again, we would like a 1-week delay on this appeal. Thank you.
Are there persons here to speak in opposition to this zoning case?
Again, my name is Joyce Lawrence. I reside at 4107 Scenic. I would like to ask that the commissioners today, again, affirm the MPC's decision to deny this application. We in the community are actually a little concerned that these appear to be two separate items running concurrently at public hearing and voting concurrently when one appears to be simply a property issue. But and for that reason, we have to believe that there's a little bit more going on here because we are not privy to the actual plans, and the details. We've just asked that you affirm this. The stores, dollar stores, cannot compete with Walmart. And I don't know how many. I'm relatively new to the area. I've only been back. This is my home, and I've only been back for 4 years. But I can tell you that with my comings and goings, I remember, and I shopped in Shreveport when I was here, and we still, in the community, are suffering from the building and development of Walmart. There are still buildings that remain vacant from the time the small mom and pop businesses that could not compete with Walmart. Walmart, as all of us know, is a multi-billion-dollar company. They can price at the average small business right out of the market. And so for those reasons, again, we ask that these two are tied, and I don't know how they are running concurrently for approval, but we again ask you to affirm the MPC's decision and deny. Thank you.
Next item, Mr. Spears?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I see. Mr. Brooks, did you want to come up on this one as well? And Mr. Starks?
Again, Mr. President, I'm Lewis Brooks, 6629 Virgo Drive. I speak in opposition of opposing the zoning changing, whatever you decide to do. If you deny him of getting this zone change, he cannot build a building. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anyone else to speak in opposition? Thank you. Next case, Mr. Spears?
Yes, next is on the case P4, ordinance 4873. Aramco Inc. is the applicant to rezone property east side of Norris Ferry Road at Southern Loop from RA to B2 for proposed B2 development.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this zoning case? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Next case.
On case P5, ordinance 4874, Calvary Baptist Church is the applicant requesting to rezone property at the southeast corner of Glenwood Avenue in McCary from RA to R3 urban multifamily residence for proposed adult living facility.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this zoning case? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Next item.
That concludes our zoning. Next, public hearing on regular ordinances. First one being ordinance 4876, relocates polling place precinct number 146 from Deep South Gift Shop in Myra to the Ida Community Center.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Next case.
Ordinance 4878, declares certain adjudicated property to be surplus and authorize the sale of the parish's tax interest therein.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Next case.
Yes, we return to our zoning and subdivision ordinances for final consideration. First one being zoning case P3, Dollar General in Jefferson Page Road is the applicant.
Move to uphold MPC.
Second.
Been moved by the chair, seconded by Commissioner Epperson. Any discussion? Commissioner Escaday.
Charles, I need to ask you a couple of questions, please. Charles. Yes, and Mr. Pearson requests the abridged version of the answers, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry, Mr. Secretary, what?
Short answers would be good.
That was good, man.
Let me ask the question. I had to ask the question, you're going to answer. What was the sentiment among the MPC members as to deny this? What was the opposition? What were they doing? Were they
very clearly
the opposition of the neighborhood, or did they have any other reason?
You've heard the same comments that virtually the neighborhood and the residents said today. They said that to the MPC. There's a lot of truth in what they've got to say, in addition to the fact that these stores seem to come and go, these type of stores, and they really aren't, for the most part, adding to, let's say, value or other. They become blighted. We have to spend a lot of time to try to keep them obeying ordinances, landscaping.
Okay,
I don't say that they would do it, but they have not been an asset to the community or the board or the neighborhood.
But that's, wait.
Okay.
No, let's not be redundant. Okay, so forget that. That aside, if business, we're not here to determine whether businesses fail or not going to fail. I mean, nobody didn't get out there if that was the case. I'm asking you though, so that was the compelling reason. It had nothing to do with location, its current zoning, or anything else.
Well, it didn't have to do with the site plan itself, and some of these small developments do create problems like this type of development. And the most recent court case that supported this approach to a decision by both MPC and the governing body, the last governing body was City Council, had to do with a Sonic drive-in down on Uri Drive in the middle of a prominent neighborhood. And frankly, the neighbors were all opposed to it for similar reasons, which the type of use and the type of site plan would actually add to a level of problems in the area, and the judge agreed when it went to court.
Okay, I tend to agree with you, and I always tend to agree with the people, the residents of that area. They know what they want. What I'm concerned about is it should be based on that. If the sentiments of the residents are overwhelmingly that we don't want this in our community, fine. But I think we cross a line here when we start discussing, and you and your board members start discussing whether a business is viable or not, or whether it's going to make it.
No, the board does not get into economics. What we do get into is their actual history and their record in this community. Now, that's not economic.
Well, these are franchise operators, and you got a different property owner here. So I really, okay, never mind. You can just say that on one. I really think you're getting above and beyond the issue of the function of MPC and this board, and that is to represent the best interest of the people that we represent and what they want or don't want. The business of it, the details of it.
Quick comment. The operator themselves pulled out. That's why you're seeing the owner representative, not Dollar General. They said they didn't want to do something that the community didn't want. Now, that's up to them if you want to ask them to respond to that, but Dollar General's not here asking for this matter to be appealed.
Okay, thank you. I'm finished, thank you, Madam Chair.
All righty. See no other commissioners, please vote.
We're upholding the MPC.
Yes. And that passes. Next item.
Okay, one moment. Next zoning case, this is SP 6, James and Sarah Price of the applicants, related to the same Dollar General store.
Okay, move to uphold MPC.
Second.
Discussion. Please vote. That passes. Next case.
Yes, this is ordinance 4873 regarding zoning case P4, Aramco Inc., for proposed B2 development.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Thibodeau, second by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion? Please vote. That passes. Next case.
Ordinance 4874, zoning case P5, the Calvary Baptist Church, applicant to proposed adult living facility.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Cox, second by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion?
Yes.
Escadade?
Charles, you want to help me out again? I promise I'll try to be a little nicer. Charles. Why do you look over here? This Charles is nicer than we had a spin going. No matter what.
You'll learn later.
Okay. I was so busy reading through all this stuff on the Dollar General, I hadn't got a chance to read this. Quick question.
Okay.
Is this property currently owned by Calvary Baptist Church?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And
I think to the best of my knowledge, I'm reasonably certain it is not owned by another party.
Okay.
Part of a larger campus.
Who wants to build the, whatever they call it here, living?
There's a private group that has reached some sort of I'll say a partnership with Calvary. At least that's the way it was presented, as that Calvary has contracted with a group that will build a facility, and I got the impression they would also operate it, but that Calvary would remain the landowner.
Okay, so my question is, and I'll just cut to the chase, is this another thing we're going to rezone and allow another nonprofit, which Calvary is, to go in competition with the private sector again and not have to pay any ad valorem taxes or property taxes or any of that, or is the operator going to be responsible for that? I just want to know what we're doing here.
I'm not certain because, as you were saying earlier, we don't get into the economics of it, or as to who... You walked into that.
You
probably deserve that. I deserve that.
It provides a service, though, that we do need
Okay,
more.
what I'm asking you, I don't care what your opinion is, what do you know to be true? Is somebody else going to operate it?
I'm not, it's in our record as to who they are, but I'm reasonably certain, the impression was that the partner who would build it would also operate it. This is not unlike, and I'll give you another example, what Willis Knighton, a clear nonprofit, if you want to call them, is proposing out off the industrial loop, a major retirement village, if you will. But if there wasn't a market for them, these firms would not want to come in and build them. There's clearly a market for them. We've got an aging citizenry, and they need these services.
Okay. That's the economics of it. That's the economics of it. I'm not, that's one thing. I'm sure Willis Knighton's not going to build it if they don't think they can turn a profit. What I want to find out, because I may be the only one here. I'm not going to vote for this. I'm not going to approve this. I don't want to vote for this until I find out exactly what it is. Because what's happening, and everybody needs to realize this, is there's almost more nonprofits than for-profits in this country now. And they come in, to the good work that the Goodwill does, the Salvation Army, and everybody else. They set up these stores, and they compete with that profit businesses, and they're not paying any taxes or any of these things, and then, we'll further have to subsidize it. Just like we've got a nice country club out here, Shreveport Country Club. It's owned by a church now. We're giving this off the tax rolls, buddy. All that pristine property is off the tax rolls. So, I just want to know that if I'm going to sign off of this, what I'm signing off, and if it's to take something that's potentially tax-generating.
John, you probably need to have Calvary Baptist here to answer those questions. The impressions left, they're listed as the applicant, that is Calvary Baptist, and the owner. And other than what was shown, it clearly was referenced that there would be some sort of a partnership between this national firm and Calvary Baptist. But churches, as you know, all across our city have gotten into all sorts of investments.
Well, they've found every kind of angle they can to compete in the private sector and not have to pay the same taxes that everybody else does. So it cost us as individual businessmen trying to compete and make our livings. It cost us as a government body in the way of tax revenue. So I'm not questioning the MPST's decision. I'm just saying, I'm trying to let everybody, I hope that you kind of see what I'm getting to. This is happening more and more and more. And pretty soon, there's going to be more nonprofits and they'll generate profit. And then what's going to happen? Who's going to, and I mean, I'm patient at Willis Knighton. I go there, but I see what they're doing. I see what the Good Sisters of Charity are doing.
Right.
With the health clubs. I mean, they're competing with for-profit health clubs. These guys out here trying to make a living, having a gym and all that. And these poor individual business owners aren't on a level playing field because they're competing against this health club, but they're not paying those taxes. Where's it going to end? And that's not you, but that's my question to my fellow members here. I want to know what I'm voting for. Right. So to the rest of you, I'm not prepared to approve this today, but I yield to the will of the body.
You really need Calvary to answer those questions.
Thank you, Charles.
Commissioner Lynn?
Mr. Kirkland, I was going to ask you just a comparison. It's my understanding that Willis Knighton owns the shopping complex where Sports Spectrum, where that Brookshire's used to be, on...
They do. The Portico Shopping Center.
On Uri Drive.
It's Portico Shopping Center.
Just because Willis Knighton owns it, because it's a for-profit center, they pay property tax on that, don't they?
What happens is on the for-profit portions of it, like if they were to lease to a private business, like currently they have a lease with Sports Spectrum. They are taxed, is my understanding. The tax assessor taxes them on the profits and or whatever. Now, once they convert it to medical use, then it goes into another taxing status, and I believe a lot of that is exempt. But I know another church that owns a shopping center, and about 3/4 of the site is taxed at normal rates, and the part that's used by the church is taxed at the more favorable nonprofit rate.
What is the difference in those cases and the case where the city of Shreveport owns the Hilton Hotel and they're operating a for-profit hotel, yet the parish doesn't get any taxes on the Hilton Hotel?
Well, Mr. Lynn, it'd be better for me not to venture into that area. There are other experts that could answer those questions for you. You'd be getting in my philosophy versus what my job is.
Charles, your stock has gone up with me today. We may have some other questions. Commissioner Cox.
No, I was just going to make a friendly gesture and withdraw mine if somebody will come up with a substitute motion to postpone this.
That way I can get with Calvary, which is my church, and I'd asked a few of them if they had a problem with this development, and we didn't go into detail on it. So if the body wants to postpone it for 2 weeks and bring it back up, I don't have a problem with that. And we can have Pastor Rick come up here or answer any questions that you need. Yes.
Commissioner Epperson?
Did you get it? I'll yield if someone wants to honor your request, but I wouldn't at this time.
I'd like to make a secondary motion to delay this decision for 2 weeks.
I'll second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Lynn, second by Commissioner Escudé to delay this case for 2 weeks. Any discussion? Commissioner Epperson?
Okay, since it appears as though we looking at a new criteria for voting on issues from the MPC, Mr. Kirkland, would you, in your deliberations or maybe in the announcement that you send to all of us commissioners, put a request to the applicants, their tax-paying status? Let's make sure that we publicize that with the MPC persons.
We don't ask that question in the application or at the hearing. We don't get into the competition, pro or not versus a nonprofit versus the other.
What I'm trying to do here is they've gone through all that, and then they come here today, then we have that question. Well, who would do that? Now, we get a copy of each deliberation that's going through the MPC. We have I'm just talking to try to, instead of delaying, okay, maybe once we get a copy of what's happening, I think we have a name of each our district, what's going to happen. So if we have a concern over to the issue, maybe we should contact, or either we should have staff to contact and have that information so we can vote instead of delaying it. It's nothing to do with you now. Okay? We don't want you involved in economics.
To add to that conversation.
Okay.
Somebody referenced earlier the master plan work. What I'm seeing and observing, both in the former case of decision-making and in this case, is a heightened awareness of what we should be doing for the best of our community. Now, that's a charge to us, but what we should have done, for example, somebody even mentioned Walmart. When we started approving all the Walmart stores, we didn't even think about the small businesses, hardware stores and landscapers and whatever, but we should have in all probability. I think we're beginning to see that now, and I'm seeing an evolution of maybe how we will decide. I think John's right. Is this going to be the criteria? I think you're right, and others to say, what will be the standard? And I think as we work on this master plan, we need to define what will be some of the judgment criteria, and what are we doing to some of our small business folks that we want to go start up a business? And do we want to use this rationale or that? It's clearly exactly what we're going to be going through with this master plan work. Doesn't give you any answers right now, but what you're asking is an excellent question as to what should be the standard. It doesn't have to remain static, and it shouldn't remain static. As we begin to stand up on our feet and say what we are and who we are and what we want, I think these answers will come a little more clearly to us. Sorry about that.
Okay. Commissioner Cox?
For Mr. Epperson, I don't think postponing it a couple of weeks is going to hurt this situation. And I don't think Calvary will have a problem coming down and answering any questions that we may have.
But my only concern is that I think we should find this on the front end, irrespective, Calvary may not, but someone, time may be of essence, just like the drilling company,
That's my district, and I haven't had the first phone call in opposition of it from the neighborhood that's down the street. And years ago, there was a developer who tried to go in there in that same tract of land to do something, but they were putting in modular homes. And we went around and around here at this commission about that. So, if Calvary's backing it, maybe we need to know who, what, when, where, satisfy everybody's curiosity and get on with it.
Please vote.
Just put a delay. Delay it.
Right, this is to delay for 2 weeks. That passes. Next case?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ordinance 4876, I believe, relocates polling place for precinct 146.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Dominique, second by Commissioner Cox. Any discussion? Please vote. That passes. Next case.
Yes, ordinance 4878 sells surplus adjudicated property.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Pearson, second by Commissioner McCullough. Any discussion? Please vote. Next order of business.
Ordinances for introduction. Ordinance 4879 amends your juvenile justice fund budget to include $15,000 for the family in needs of services, 2009. Ordinance 4880 also sells surplus adjudicated property.
Resolution.
Resolution 10 authorizes the administrator to retain special legal counsel.
Moved by Commissioner Smith.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jenkins. Any discussion? Commissioner Epperson?
Okay, now, we are going to engage, yes, Mr. Frazier for oil and gas matters. He'll be on retainer up until such time to release it. That the gist of this? Mr. Smith, then, I guess, you introduced.
I believe that's what Mr. Grubbs has in mind, but I don't know that he specified Mr. Frazier, but I think that's what we talked about in this body here.
Okay. Oh, it's not Frazier. I didn't look at it. So that, what does it say?
It is. Okay, we voted in the ordinance.
Okay. I think he's the gentleman that was here during the hearing. Okay. Okay. All right, does this also give latitude in the event that he may be overwhelmed, that engage someone else with that expertise, or just him?
That's exactly the way I understand it. As all of you know, this oil and gas ordinances and all the other traumas with this, I don't know how Charles worked as many hours as he honestly worked during this last time, because I would call him at night and early in the morning because of questions and problems, and he did the same for me. I have no idea how much, I don't know how he did his other work, honestly, guys. So not only does he need more help, but then there are issues that are so difficult and so tough that one person can't either research or know all the things that are needed to know. So, from my experience thus far, it's very much needed.
Please vote. Passes. Next item.
Resolution number 12 authorizes the administrator to ask the Louisiana Department of Natural Resources to lease certain mineral interests.
Moved by Commissioner Smith. Second by Commissioner Baker. I'm sorry, Dominique. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Smith, push one more time. Okay, thank you. Next item.
Resolution 13 also asks the Department of Natural Resources to lease certain mineral interests.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Dominique. Any discussion? Please vote. I'm sorry.
Did I come
Commissioner
up?
Jenkins.
I'm sorry. I just want to be certain.
All right, no.
All right. I want to be certain. Thank you, Madam President. As far as this resolution and the early one that we just passed, I'm going to vote for it, don't get me wrong. And this may have been addressed earlier. Is this encompassing any parks or anything like that?
Yes, sir.
No parks, anything in the middle?
Roads. So Robert could answer that for you. Roads.
Mostly roads, and this one, there's a few pieces of adjudicated property that are small tracts. There won't be no drilling on the tracks, no.
Yeah, I just want to go in with some idea of what's being covered.
Right, no parks.
And while I got you up here too now, I'd asked for some information on these mineral leases. I promised to be delivered to me. I haven't got anything on it yet.
I sent it to you Friday.
You did?
Yes, sir.
In what manner?
And which way did you send it now? Email? You did?
Yeah, the email, via email.
I'll check my emails again.
Yeah, I
I'll
sent
check
it to you Friday.
I'll check them again.
If you call me if you didn't get it, I'll send it again.
All right,
You
thank
have
you.
to be careful with your email, because if you put that S on there, it's going to some other fella. It's Jenkin, I believe.
Well, did you send it to?
I'll check it and see.
Okay.
I'm not sure which one. I think I just
Yeah.
responded to what you sent me.
Okay. just-
We'll double check it.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, please vote. That passes. Next item.
Resolution 14, supports recreational trails grant application for Earl Williams.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Dominique, seconded by Commissioner Thibodeau. Any discussion? Please vote. That passes. Next item.
Resolution 15, supports application for a community water enrichment grant
So moved.
for Water District 7.
Moved by the chair, second by Commissioner Pearson. Any discussion? Please vote. Next item.
Resolution 16, supports application for a water enrichment grant for the village of Ida.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Commissioner Dominique, second by Commissioner McCullough. Any discussion? Please vote. Sorry, I was on the wrong resolution.
That's okay.
Commissioner Thibodeau pushed it. Thank you. Next item.
Resolution 17, supports an application for funding to develop the Red Bio watershed.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Dominique, second by Commissioner Thibodeau. Any discussion? Commissioner Thibodeau.
Just want to be sure that it's in there. Change was made.
Oh, it's in there. It says other than Caddo Parish. Okay. Please vote. That passes. Next item.
Yes, confirm substitution of the name Goody Clancy for Nelson Association on the previous commission motion regarding revised fee schedule.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Commissioner Epperson, second by Commissioner McCullough. Commissioner Cox for discussion.
I need to do something to the agenda after these two.
Okay. No discussion, please vote. That passes. Next item.
Confirm Josie Harris as the commission's representative on the board of Human Services
Second.
District.
Moved by Commissioner Epperson, second by Commissioner McCullough. Discussion, please vote. Just one more time, Commissioner Baker. Okay, that passes. Commissioner Cox.
I'd like to make a motion to expand the agenda to allow Sandy Davis to speak to this body today, and would like to expand on that if I could.
Moved by Commissioner Cox, second by Commissioner Escaday.
On my mistake, when we had talked about my trip down to Baton Rouge, I told them that we were going to invite Sandy Davis to the next meeting, and my fault, I did not get with proper authority in our office and to get that on the agenda, and I talked to Sandy on the phone, and he said he would be here, and he is here, and would like to ask him to come up if we can expand the agenda to go to Hurricane. He has been working on a few things that I've heard, and he's probably heard a few other things in the last couple of days that I think we all need to hear.
Okay. We need to vote to expand the agenda. It is unanimous vote. Commissioner Jenkins, Commissioner Smith, did you intend to hit yes, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you to my commissioners.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Cox, thank you for inviting me to come up. I want to talk to you a little bit about the sheltering situation. I understand there's some concerns. Oftentimes, I'm remiss in remembering the fact that we have Caddo commissioners that also represent inside the city limits of Shreveport, where these shelters are located. Oftentimes, I'm in contact with the city council and the mayor, and I'm remiss sometimes in remembering the fact that Mr. Cox and some others of you have those shelters within your jurisdiction as well. And then some final information I'd like to give you. to show you what you get for your $34,600 that you fund toward our office each year. I'm very appreciative of it. We have the critical transportation needs shelters, which are the ones that create generally the most concern for us. Those are the individuals who do not have their own transportation. They are actually general population folks, but they don't have any means of getting to a shelter during the evacuation. The Sam's Club, I met with the Department of Social Services this morning at length about the Sam's Club. They have assured me that there will be sufficient showers, restroom facilities, hand wash stations, a caterer in place, security issues we're meeting on Monday to help resolve some of the issues that we had there. We're using a local vendor for the showers and for the catering of the food and for delivery of those other sanitary and personal hygiene issues. So I'm convinced that those will not be an issue this year, Mr. Cox. The outlet mall. The outlet mall, the old sports outlet mall off of Burt Coons and Greenwood Road creates a little more of a problem for us. There has not been sufficient attention paid to that structure to eliminate a lot of the problems. We met there this morning with the property owner and their maintenance folks, and they have agreed to a 3-phase program where they'll have partial completion of that shelter by June 1, additional completion by July 1, and complete the project by August 1, which we hope will dodge the bullet at any rate on those evacuees this year, but that certainly will get us ready for that. And in addition, we're looking at some property just outside the city limits that was a supplier that helped supply General Motors, who has since gone out of business due to the downsizing of General Motors production here. And we perhaps will take that and put it in the inventory rather than the old outlet mall, which creates a real problem for us as far as security, as far as the shelter population going back and forth across the interstate and those kind of things. And then the Riverview Theater downtown will continue to be a critical transportation needs shelter that was run by the city of Shreveport as well. We have the Hearst Coliseum. Many of you may have saw in the paper this morning on the front page. Yesterday, I went over and negotiated with Chris Giordano. The state of Oklahoma is a partner with the state of Louisiana for shelter and critical transportation aid. On Thursday before Good Friday, Alabama pulled out of that program. That's 10,000 bed spaces that we are short compared to what we had last year for Louisiana citizens that may have to be evacuated. The state of Texas has picked up the slack there. Oklahoma suggested back in November that we enter into a partnership where they bring their resources to Louisiana rather than us having to take our Louisiana residents to Oklahoma. Makes sense to me. It doesn't cost as much to transport them within the state as it does to transport them out of the state. So as of yesterday, we've entered into that agreement with Chris, the American Red Cross Northwest Louisiana chapter, and the Oklahoma and Tulsa chapters of the American Red Cross, and the Emergency Management Office under the Governor's Office of Homeland Security in Oklahoma. They'll be here on the 13th of May to iron out some more of those issues as well, and I would like to have the opportunity to meet either the subcommittee of this group perhaps or the whole commission once we iron those out. We'll continue to use the American Red Cross for LSUS and for Southern University for general population. The critical transportation needs will be met on the Bossier side at the Citritel Center, and the Bossier Civic Center is a medical special needs, which is a hospital setting more so than a general population shelter. And then the pets will continue to be housed at the fairgrounds at the Hearst Coliseum. That gives us a total of about 10,000 Louisiana residents that we take care of in Caddo and Bossier parishes. That's 62% of all the critical transportation needs in the state we're taking care of in Caddo and Bossier parishes. I appreciate your continued support of my office and continued support of me personally in that endeavor. I couldn't do it without the support of the commission, without the support of the city council, the sheriffs, and the elected and appointed officials here in this parish. In addition, we're working on some generator grants or one-time grants for the first time ever to take care of installation as well as purchase of the equipment. Todd Hopkins has been representing the parish very well on that. We had a $1.3 million grant that we split down the middle with the city of Shreveport and the parish. The Water District 7, for instance, Greenwood Water District are getting backup generators for their systems. We targeted our critical infrastructure, which is our water, our sewer, our law enforcement, and our fire and public works. So we're in the process now of making those purchases. They have to be made by that entity, and then they get a reimbursement through our office through the state of Louisiana for that. In addition, We have in the last year purchased 3 communications towers. Communications is a big issue during the disaster. If we forward deploy our troops to South Louisiana or in some other state and they can't talk to each other, it makes it difficult for them to be able to work. So what we've done, we've purchased 3 communications towers that are standalone units. They're 106-foot military-grade towers that can withstand a 100-mile-an-hour wind at 106 foot of deployment without any guy wires. We put 25 radios with each of those, and we have in fact deployed those 3 times now for the state fair. We deployed them for the Mardi Gras parade, and we've deployed them more recently in Homer for the gathering they had there with the Reverend Sharpton. We will be using those at the Barstow Air Show as well, and what that does, it gives every responding agency the ability to talk to each other regardless of what their radio communications capabilities are. It has an ACU 1000 which connects this brick with that brick, and everybody can talk to each other. So we've used grant money to do that. We have 4 security cameras that have been used for those same venues. They're also on those 106-foot towers, and most recently were used for surveillance last weekend for the Shreveport Police Department, and they'll be used at the air show. We have a Metropolitan Medical Response trailer that is basically hospital equipment that we can move to use in our shelters. We can use them also in the event that we have pandemic or some other large outbreak of the flu or some biological agent as well. We can set up hospital type treatment in our local gymnasiums. We purchased Tamiflu. We're the first ones in the state and perhaps the first ones in the nation for a local agency to purchase Tamiflu, which is in the event that the bird flu becomes an issue. And we've bought respiratory protection as well for our first responders, because if our first responders have a fear of that contamination and that potential for disease, they won't show up for work, so we've addressed that. We recently, District 7, back a month or so ago, we did a water shuttle with them. Commissioner Smith called me about 6:30 one evening, and about 8 o'clock the next morning we started the water shuttle. Mr. Taylor out there told me he needed 15,000 gallons of water shuttle, and we actually shuttled 185,000 gallons of water over a 3-day period, supported by Louisiana National Guard. We talked to you about the first call again. We continue to use that system for being able to notify in the event of disasters. On the tornado that we had come through that affected the parish, the city, and in Bossier Parish and Bossier City as well on the 9th of April, we did a preliminary damage assessment. We're not going to meet the threshold for a presidential declaration, nor will we meet the threshold for a state declaration. However, we may be able to bring the Small Business Administration in like we did from the May 13th floods of last year to help uninsured property owners with their recovery efforts, and we're in the process of doing that. A lot of people always ask me about tornado warning sirens after we have a tornado. It always comes up. And we have researched that. It's about $20,000 per site. We would need about 30 sites in the parish to be able to cover it. There's about $1,000 a year maintenance on that would have to be absorbed by the community. And they're really not nearly as effective as they used to be. We contacted over 10 communities that use tornado sirens for warnings for tornadoes, and every one of those emergency managers told me that that's old technology that they don't support anymore, but I certainly would be open to a line of communications on that. I'm looking at a grant for weather radios. We can put weather radios in every home in Caddo Parish for what it would cost us to put tornado warning sirens in. And as you know, if you looked at Channel 3, 6, or 12 during a weather event, they tell you what street that event is happening on. The weather radio will do the same thing. They are battery powered in the event that we lose power. So for the same investment, we could put some of the onus on the individual to take care of himself during disaster, and perhaps there would be an annual battery distribution through the fire department. We haven't worked those details out, but I'm working on that as well. And last but not least, and I know I've given you a lot of information in a short period of time, our local emergency planning committee, in fact, when I leave here, we've got an EPA meeting tonight, an annual meeting that we're required. The local emergency planning committee is required by federal law under SARA Title III, and we're having that meeting tonight, and that includes industry, that includes your first responders from your governmental agencies, and then my counterparts from throughout this region for our annual meeting. We meet once a quarter on that, and Todd represents you as well on that meeting every quarter. That's all the information that I have. I hope that brings you kind of up to date. I know I spoke very fast for a Southern boy, but I know it's late in the afternoon, you're ready to leave, and I probably already got one of those little green envelopes in my car out front. So any questions that you might have about either our response to the tornado, our response to the water issue in District 7, or the equipment I've talked to you about, or the sheltering situation that we anticipate will continue to be a need in this part of the part of the country. I would entertain this question.
Commissioner Epperson?
Sandy, the property that you're referring to of the Flamo Supply, where is that located?
It's on, and we're in very preliminary discussions with them. I hesitated to even mention it, but I felt like that you needed to know. It's on Atkinson, right off of Westport.
Okay.
It was a radiator supplier for General Motors. We only met with them, the realtor represented this afternoon. That is not a done deal. A desirable situation would be for us to pull out of the outlet because of the situation that we had there with security and folks getting on the interstate and going to the local convenience stores and creating some issues. But that's not a done deal. That's strictly, and that'll be a decision they'll make at the state level. We can get into that facility for a little less than it's costing us for the outlet, and so we're in preliminary discussions of that, but that's the property that we're speaking of.
How many medical trailers you say you have?
Sorry?
Medical trailers.
We actually just bought another one. It's not equipped yet. What we did with that, we take Metropolitan Medical Response grant. We get about $500,000 a year for the 7 parishes in northwest Louisiana, and we knew we could take that and supplement our response to our shelters and our response if we had, for instance, a pandemic flu or some kind of an outbreak. We have one of those now, and we have a second trailer that we're in the process of equipping now.
You work out of the 911?
I have an emergency operations center on both sides of the river. Okay. I have an office at Caddo 911 at 1134 Texas, but we actually operate out of 1511 Doctors Drive in Bossier. Okay. We're a very unique situation. We're the only office in the nation that represents more than one county or more than one parish. And that was done back in the late 40s when Barksdale was about the only thing that was on the Bossier side of the river, and that continues to be a good operation. As I mentioned earlier, the commission graciously funds us $34,600 a year, and as you know, you couldn't operate an office on that if we didn't have partnerships with our sheriff's departments and with our city administration as well.
You're still going to go forward with the improvements supposedly that the owners of the outlet mall.
Yes, sir.
June 1 date to July and August 3rd.
So what we're doing there, just so you know, we're requesting they remove any carpeting. There was some sanitary and hygiene issues when you have carpet in the shelter. They'll go down to the bare floor, remove any tile or carpeting, remove any partition walls, make sure that all the light switches work, that all the breakers are marked so we know and that they're locked, and that all the exterior doors work and all the HVACs. There's 83 heating and air conditioning units on top of that building, and they've got to make sure that all those are in working order. Those were the big issues that we had from day one there. We're actually working with a local vendor, Robert Shavers, and many of you may know from the crawfish business. He's also in the disaster response business. And we will have on-site by June 1 showers, and portable showers and portable restrooms for those facilities that I mentioned earlier, which was a big issue and created the biggest problem for us as well during our response to Gustav and I.
Sandy, thank you for all that you all do, and you continue to work with Commissioner Cox, because he's the chair of our funding agencies and government affairs.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's fine. Let me ask you, because we got turned down on some money we had spent. I think it was it for Gustav and Ike? Do you have any influence with the state to get our money?
What I guess I didn't realize
they
the parish
turned us
was
down.
the,
What was?
The only money we have right now, we're waiting on the money for Gustav. Of course, we didn't have a budget. Governor didn't do the declaration for Ike.
Okay.
So we did. We are waiting on money.
And what part of money was that, though, that we had applied for reimbursement, and they said we were in the, we had too much?
That was the...
Oh, that's IEB. That's for the floods that we had on May 13th. Okay. We applied to IEB, which is an interim emergency board, which is a state slush fund that nobody really knows what the criteria is. Kind of a...
have any influence to get our money back?
I would like to stand up before you and say yes, but so far I haven't been successful. I can assure you we've worked diligently on that. We've made those committee meetings. Generally, those funds, the IEB funds, are generally given for critical infrastructure, roads and sanitary sewers and drinking water systems, culverts and those kind of things. And they're generally given out, quite honestly, to some of the poorer parishes that are not considered to have some of the tax fund base that we have here. I know that may not seem fair, but that's, ma'am.
You didn't hear a few weeks ago, we're in the red.
But we're continuing to work on that, and we will appeal, we have appealed that to the IEB again. Shreveport City was out quite a significant amount for some damages, and we more than likely are going to do that for this tornado that just came through, because there is going to be some debris removal, there is some infrastructure damage in Shreveport, and to my knowledge, we didn't have, there may be a couple of sewer lift stations out there in the Lakeview area that were affected, but to my knowledge, that would be the only critical infrastructure that was involved. But we're going to appeal to the IEB for reimbursement there, and then if that doesn't work, there won't be any public assistance, but individual assistance would go through the Small Business Administration.
Can our legislators help us with that?
Yes, ma'am, and they do. Yes, ma'am, they should be able to, and they do as much as they can. Here, and I say it kind of jokingly, nobody can really tell me, even the people on the IEB board can tell me what their criteria is to give the positive nod. There's nothing that says, here's what meets the standard. It's kind of a how we feel that day kind of thing.
And help them feel better. Thank you.
You're certainly welcome.
Thank you. If you will, any meetings that you have, could you've got my number, call me, especially if it has to do with that Sam's building.
Okay, May 1st, we're meeting at the Sam's building at 10 a.m. May the 13th, we're meeting with Oklahoma at the Hearst Coliseum. I don't know quite where your district lines are, but we are meeting. They're bringing in what I committed to you and to the city council last year during Gustav and Ike was that we would not stand back and let the state dictate to us what we would accept at those shelters. And I've made, I feel like I need to run a office down in Baton Rouge sometime, down there about once a week, lobbying on behalf of our area, because we don't. So what basically on the first, what's going to happen is that we're going to sit down and we're going to say who is bringing this and who is bringing that and who is going to bring the other and who's going to help supplement our security, so that we put a face to a name so we don't get caught in the same situation we were in with Gustav tonight.
I'll be there at 10 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
Okay. Before we adjourn, Commissioner Escudé and Baker.
Just have an announcement. Anyone in this room tonight, the Symphony is presenting 5 by Design. Stay tuned. It's at the Strand at 7:30. It's a nostalgic look at the old radio, TV days and all this. If anybody'd like to go, I've got excellent seats. Tickets are on me. You can have as many as you want. Just let me know before you leave. Thank you.
Also want to remind the Economic Development Committee, we have a meeting immediately, short, brief meeting immediately after this meeting on the film industry. Thank you.
Commissioner Thibodeau?
Yeah, I just want to vent for a second. We received just today the information on the summer youth program, and it's part of the stimulus program, I understand. And to me, it's really disturbing that if you are a family, just a blue-collar, working class family, and your kid stayed out of trouble, your child is not going to be eligible for this program, because here are some of the qualifications for this program. You have to be within the poverty level, and then here are some of the following that you have to check. Normally, these would be things that would disqualify you from work. This enhances your qualifications for the job. I'm an offender or an ex-offender. I've failed 1 or more grades. I'm a pregnant teen or a female or a male parent. And then I have health problems. That's no problem with that. I'm a high school dropout. I'm a drug, alcohol abuser or ex-abuser. I cannot read or write.
I'll take it.
You know, it just bothers me that these are the kind of programs. This program should be open to everybody in the city, to any child in the city, and I think it's grossly unfair that all our tax money always seems to go to be spent on these kinds of programs, and not to, you know, you tell your kid, go to school, do the best you can do, stay out of trouble. They do that, and they come apply for a job at the city or at the parish. No, you don't meet the qualifications. You're too good. That's all I want to say. That's all I wanted to say. Wonderful country, goddamn.
Wait a minute. What if everybody
If it's anybody that can't use this information, I can use it.
Commissioner Lynn?
Oh, I was just going to answer that, and that they have the invisible box on there that says checker, says liar, and then they could just check every one of them.
Madam President.
Commissioner Jenkins.
I want to make certain I understood what Commissioner Caddo just said, and I'm looking at this, maybe I didn't interpret it the same way. I didn't see this as saying it's qualified you. I saw this saying this was some information they wanted to know about you. I don't think it's saying that the only people that qualify for the program are people who fit a criteria like this. This was more or less what they were saying.
Look at this.
The brochure.
Let's see now. Let's take a look at it.
First page brochure.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, the other one they got on here is authentic. The household must meet poverty guidelines in one of the following, and they got on here offender. That's the only one that they have on there. Now, why that would qualify you for something, I don't know either. I must agree. I must agree now. I don't know why that would qualify you for something. But I don't think this application, I don't want this application to be characterized as saying you're qualified by having all of that and nothing else counts, because it appears that there are a lot of other things that do count. So, anyway, that's interesting.
Commissioner Lynn?
That's not me.
Okay, Commissioner Baker?
Well, just in defense of this application and not defending the actual applicants, but possibly what it is, I know the Department of Social Services and Department of Education, they're putting out grant fundings for at-risk kids, at-risk youth, and the reason why that they qualify with some of these backgrounds that they have is because of the fact that they're trying to give them a chance to better their lives instead of them continuing to do the things that they're doing to keep them in this situation. So that's possibly the reason why some of those criteria is on there for them to check, is because of the fact that this funding is probably just geared toward the at-risk youth and the ones that are needed. So, defense of that.
Let me just ask while we're on this, because I want to get this on the record. Now, have we committed to doing this program at the parish level?
Yes, ma'am, we are. We are participating in it because by default, the parish gets to participate in this, and they are going out to schools throughout the Caddo Parish and putting the application in school, as well as the city of Shreveport.
Right, I understand, but it's just like the stimulus money. Some governors are saying, yes, we know that you're giving it, but we're not accepting it.
We weren't given that option yesterday, but we could find out.
Okay, let's...
Mr. Lynch, I was just going to say, the Coordinating Development Corporation is the one that's actually doing the process of the hiring process. They're just needing from the parish and from businesses work sites. They are having difficulty placing the students in jobs. We won't be taking applications. We won't be screening the students.
Right, I understand, but are we saying that we're going to have paid positions at parish facilities under this program?
Yes, ma'am, we are, unless y'all say otherwise.
Okay. They'll have difficulty.
Okay. Thank you. Motion to...
I have a question. I hit the button.
Commissioner...
I have
in
regards to what we were saying. That's fine. Are we only allotted one application per commissioner, if that makes sense?
No, that's not what he said. There's 100 positions for the parish.
So we can have more than one applicant in our district.
You can make copies of that application I gave.
Okay, thank you. Meeting adjourned. Because I'm tired of her telling me I'm not